Joseph, you've got a hard exit at 1 o'clock, is that correct?
1:15, yes.
1:15, all right. So, given that, that timeline, we'll see if we can shoot for a 1 o'clock close. That way you guys can all get back to your activities. I know you're busy. So, keep that in mind. If you have an item to present, brevity is appreciated. And if there's anything that we need to follow up on afterwards, we can reach out directly or coordinate through Marilyn or Monica for additional questions. So with that said, we do have a quorum present, and we do have a section for public comments. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment? Nobody for public comment? Anybody in the public that wishes to address the board? All right. Speak now, forever hold your peace. On to items for discussion. Number one is presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation of the BPUB's financial performance report for the period ending Jan 31, 2023. Monica, this is your item.
Yes, good afternoon. Monica Cavazos, Director of Finance. We'll be presenting the year-to-date numbers as of January 31st, 2023. We'll be looking at the far right column. We see that we have operating revenues, including sales and service charges of $55,732,223. Fuel collections of $29,614,850. Fuel overbillings of $4,487,145, less the rate stabilization of $1,500,000, and utility service to the city of Brownsville of $2,132,645. Leaves us total operating revenues of $77,227,283. From this, we deduct our total operating expenses of $65,097,091, which gives us operating income of $12,130,192. We then back out our non-operating expenses of $6,729,675, which leaves us income before capital contributions of $5,401,117. We add our capital contributions of $2,630,778, which gives us a change in net position of $8,031,895. When added to the net position at the beginning of the year of $445,310,943, gives us a net position at the end of the period of $453,342,838.
Great.
Moving on to our flow of funds. You see on line 20 that we generated sufficient revenue, our balance available for transfers out after our cash, net of the cash to the city. We have a balance available for transfers out of $9,218,482. This funded our operating subaccount for the fuel adjustment of $136,244. Our improvement fund for capital project funding of $2,969,471, and Resaca capital improvements of $119,928, or total transfers of $5,225,643, leaves us a surplus year to date of $3,992,839. And then if you look at the very last page of the report is our cash and investments. You will see a footnote at the bottom that our improvement fund, you see the 87 million on line 9, $87,073,250, includes our Canasca equity fund of $29 million.
Monica, quick question on that.
Yes,
On that slide or page 23, where does the Resaca fee go to? Where do you know where we hold that?
Improvement fund?
Improvement fund is.
So it's also in that same line 9.
Is it, sorry, are you?
Yes.
Are you done with that report? Continue if you have something.
No.
No, I was going to ask if there was anything in either this month or the first quarter that you thought that you wanted to bring to our attention, or that.
No, nothing out of the ordinary. No extraordinary activities or transactions.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions on the financial?
Any questions for Monica? Joseph?
On page 2, net position at the end of the year, Doesn't look changed from January 2023 to fiscal year. Oh, nope. Sorry, I misunderstood something. Okay, no, I got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Monica. Next up is the presentation and discussion by external auditor BML on progress update on the review of the Tenasca Project Fund. Monica, this is your item, but I believe we have Ben
Yes,
here.
Benjamin Pena from Burton McCumber Longoria is here to present it. You do have hard copies of the draft report from BML, and Dr. Holman, we did email it to you, so hopefully you have it as available as well. And I'll
I do, thank
to
you.
Ben.
Right. Hey, Ben, how you doing?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman,
Good
members of the committee. Thank you for having me. We're about almost at the finish line with respect to the procedures that we were enumerated to do. We do have two outstanding procedures. One relates to the right of way. The other one, it's items number 4, number 8. And so on your draft, you will have pending content on that. Once we get that resolved and finalized, we will write it into the report. But nonetheless, those are the results of our findings and what we were tasked to do. And so you can give those a read. But for the most part, we are complete with
Okay.
except those two procedures.
What's the timeline on those pending items, Ben? What would you
We
say?
hope to have them by Wednesday of next week for sure.
Wednesday of next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess what I would suggest maybe is once we have the full draft, maybe give the finance committee perhaps a week or so to review, and maybe we can think about calling an extraordinary meeting rather than waiting till the next monthly meeting.
Of course.
So that
of
we
course.
can take a look at that.
I believe we're on the agenda for Wednesday board
Okay.
meeting. So you,
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
would that be okay?
There you go. It is with me. Sure. I
Okay.
wanted to make sure that if we had something that we were able to review it. So if you feel it's.
Yeah, the
it'll be
concern was obviously giving you time to read it before it goes to the full board. I don't know if
Yeah.
that works out with the timeline.
Yeah. So do you think, given that the full board meeting is on Wednesday, do you think that there'll be an opportunity to distribute it to the board prior to the meeting so that they have an opportunity to review and ask
We
questions?
can definitely give it a try, but
Okay.
yeah, it might be a stretch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if, what we're going to do is if this is, it's just going to come as a supplemental item. So in other words, that way we don't hold up the rest of the agenda. The agenda will go out and then all of a sudden, then you'll get a supplemental item. It'll be added to your board effects on there.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that
Yep.
that is aware
Yeah.
of that because we're getting agenda items out today.
Okay.
Yeah, the only concern is that having the time for the finance committee to review it and read it and before presenting it to the full board is my only concern.
Okay, well, we'll get started with it. Is there a summary or is there something that you'd like to, point to, just
No,
for
for
the,
the most part, what we were tasked to do, we went through and identified, our task was to evaluate the methodology for the numbers within the table, do the recomputations, verify the inputs and the outputs and the results. We did have some mathematical computational errors which related to cell assignments. But we did make amendments to the table based on those computational errors. So what you have is the updated. The rest is just going through the process and verifying it. I think you'll find that the report is pretty self-explanatory with respect to what we did and what we found.
okay.
Yeah.
Any questions for?
I just
Ben?
think it's, we are towards the finish line. I think it's important that we close out.
ASAP,
We close out,
agreed.
we report to the public. It's the most appropriate time, the most convenient time that we can get this information out.
Yeah.
But, I know you guys have been trying to complete this, and it wasn't just a very ordinary task.
It's an extraordinary amount of data that we had to pour through.
Yep.
And so we've got all hands on deck on it. So we're trying to
Okay.
work through that.
just so I understand, so if it's presented on Wednesday, at that point, would the full board accept the report and then make it public?
We do have an item on there, and there is a placeholder on the agenda, specifically all the items that are discussed on the Finance Committee. I did meet with Mr. Rondon, the chair, and so all of it is on there, and based on direction, then at that point, we'll work with him and he'll sign off on the agenda and have it ready to go.
I want to sign off on the agenda. I think we about 99% there. We don't want to delay it. We don't have to,
Yep.
but I think Ben and the guys, I think we'll be ready for Wednesday.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions between now and then about anything that you read, by all means, call me. And I can walk you through with, whatever questions you might have. I don't think you will. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
But in case you do, we're available for that as well.
Okay. Is there anything at this time that you think is, would be important to share with the committee or the public regarding the report?
No, nothing earth shattering other than, those computational errors. We went through the process, identified and pretty much explained, the Tenasca Fund versus the fuel purchase, the rate stabilization program. And so it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will the full report look like this, or will there
Yes.
be additional appendices or?
It's got some appendices right now.
Okay.
Like I said, only items 4 and 8 are pending right now. So
Okay.
it's just gonna make it a little bit larger.
All right. But ultimately, it'll be.
It'll have our letterhead and our signature and all
But
that.
in the range of, 10 to 12 pages. Yeah. Okay. So it shouldn't be too difficult to read
Right.
through and digest.
Right.
Okay, great,
Easy reading,
great.
hopefully.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right. And any questions for Ben?
I'm good.
Joseph?
So these numbers, and haven't gone through this in detail and haven't tried to do a comparison. Some of these numbers do appear different than what we saw in the CRI report. Is that correct?
I went back and matched some of my numbers with some of the assertions they made in that report, and they were consistent. Unless you point me out to some specific ones, I can,
I'm going off memory. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I thought I remembered like the natural gas pipeline coming in more expensive in their report. But like I said, going off memory, so.
Right. Yeah, without knowing what the basis for their computations, it's hard for me to speak for them. I mean, all I know is this is the list that I was provided, and I verified it with invoices and supporting documentation as to what those amounts are. And so that's what we're coming up with.
Okay. Maybe what we can do is have Joseph send you an email with some of those, some of the numbers that he's
Right.
looking at, and then we can either address that directly or share it with
Sure.
with the board at the Wednesday meeting.
Mhm. Happy to.
Okay. Art, anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it, Ben. I look forward to reading through the report, and then we'll reach out with questions.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That is item number 2. Item number 3 is presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation to review and update the Finance Committee Charter.
Not sure if we have it available.
I think it's in the packet,
It's in your packet.
unless there were any changes.
There's some nominal changes some minor changes that we are proposing, under the general responsibilities. It does specify that the meetings will be held at the board's administration building, and so we want to change that, to be at the advertised location. And then under the periodic responsibilities section, there were some references to a CPA.
Mhm.
And so we've had discussions with internal audit. Their charter for the audit committee is very similar to the finance committee audit,
Okay.
to the finance committee charter. And so we have recommended to change that from CPA to internal audit in a couple of situations. And then in one of them to be a combination of a certified public accounting firm and internal audit.
Okay. So anything under these changes, if the finance committee found anything that it did want to refer to the CPA, it could be included within their scope.
Yes. But some of the items that it specifies are things that are currently done by
Done
the
by the
internal audit department and the audit
Okay,
committee
so we're just being consistent
Correct.
with practice.
with the two charters.
Are those, is that it for the changes?
Those are the only changes that staff has to recommend.
Okay,
We didn't receive any changes from you all, but if there's other changes that you have, I know the intent is to present the committee charters to the full board in April.
Right.
So
Okay.
we've got some time if you all have any other additional edits that you want to make to the charter.
okay.
Okay.
Anything at this time
I'm
that
okay.
you all see? No? All right. Joseph, anything to add there?
Thank you all.
Nope. Thank you.
All right, that is number 3. Number 4 is the presentation, discussion, and possible recommendations regarding the return to normal billing practices and aging of accounts. And Eddie Hernandez, that is your item.
Yes, sir. Let's see. A little bit of good news. Wanted to introduce a couple of people. This is Mr. Joe Amaya. He's in charge of our billing and collections department. He's manager for billing and collections. And Eddie Campirano Jr., who's in charge of our customer service cashiering and call center. So I've been working with these gentlemen, obviously preparing. We have a report, we can go through that, but really I thought the $64,000 question, how are things going?
Yep.
Actually, way better than we thought. Last month, if you remember, we reported our aggregate 90-day past due that was at around 3 million. Today, it stands at about 2.5. So, and I've talked to Eddie and Joe, and what we've been seeing is a lot of people have been coming in. It's a little harder to gauge because a lot of our volume is, because of COVID and everything, is now credit cards. So we don't see as much traffic. So 70% is credit card. But we have seen an increase in people coming in, and they've noticed a lot of payment arrangements being made, which is good. Marketing's really been pushing that hard, so thank you for us. And it's having an impact. Customers have been coming in, making large payments in some cases. Customers who, in other words, they may be paying $400 or $500 at an instance because they know they have multiple months that they're past due. And we are seeing a lot of customers make payment arrangements, which is what we want. We want that will avoid the disconnects. So once we get them on the arrangement, then we just need to keep them on it. But that once you make an arrangement, you're not getting the notices, the disconnect notices, and obviously you won't be disconnected. So
Okay.
that's a good thing.
Well, that's good. If there were any disconnects related to these balances, when would those start?
The process, we expect the disconnects to hit about what, March 8th? March 8th.
The 8th, so this week
A week from,
or a week from?
yeah, well, next Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, okay.
That's when it'll begin. If you remember, we started doing the notifications around February the 8th.
Okay.
That was to give them the notification. The disconnects themselves will begin. And that was to exactly do this, to get people to come in, take care of it so that it won't happen. But the first disconnects will be around March the 8th.
Okay. Do we have a way of knowing or estimating
We'll get a
what
report.
that number will look like?
Well,
We're
we
thinking-
can report after the fact. The issue is that, correct me if I'm wrong here, Joe, but we'll get a report that will have 2,000 names on it. And you go, oh my God. Well, the thing is that then we update that report with all the payments that came in.
Okay.
And habitually, a lot of the payments are at the last minute. So that report will go from 2,000 to a few hundred.
Okay.
So it's very difficult to gauge until we get there. Now, what we can do is we can put some information together for y'all and kind of track it and maybe submit something just for, for management and the board so that
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful. I mean,
y'all can see,
obviously, we
you can
want,
watch it.
well, I think, I don't want to speak for the rest of the committee or the board, but I think we'd like to try to minimize disconnects, right? And I know you all have been, communicating with the public, but with 1 week left to go, I think it's really important that we continue to communicate and do whatever we can to avoid disconnects, to whatever extent possible. And so any data that you can provide just to give the committee and the board a heads up in terms of what those numbers are going to look like. And then what happens after that, right? Whether all of the policies are staying the same, or, you know, if there are different options that are available this time around, given, you know, the situation, the extraordinary situation that we're in. Just keeping us posted. I think it's going to be an important couple of weeks. So information, I think will be key for the committee and for the board.
I mean, this is, you know, we're coming down to the end of this program. And I've mentioned this before. I think PUB should act in a very compassionate and humanitarian manner and dealing with these shutdowns, these accounts that are going to be possibly disconnected. I also think that PUB should work really hard to talk to customers about what external funds are available. We've talked about this before. A lot of people don't really understand it, to be honest with you. They don't understand how to access it, and even if there is money available. But I hope you, Eddie, and your team are doing everything you can to soften this.
We do.
If,
And to your point, exactly, we've trained all the customer service reps to take them to our webpage and show them the links. And I know we've done a lot of collateral material. There's another notice that's going out today that marketing's putting out that, you know, urges them, please come in. The whole object is to avoid the disconnect. You know, let's get you taken care of.
Okay.
And reiterate that K-Cost and charitable Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley are available to them with the contact information. So we are.
and there's criteria for every candidate, every applicant, right? To see if they qualify for you do $300 worth of assistance.
We're also, the notice also reminds them to be careful because there are, you know, unscrupulous people out there who will try to take advantage of this situation.
Yeah.
And we'll call them and, you know, don't use the cash cards, don't use the green dot cards. We do not call and make demand like you need to pay me right now over the phone. We do not do collections in person. Everything needs to be done at, you know, through your normal PUB channels. And if you have a question, call us. You know, we're better safe than sorry.
Eddie, give me an idea, real quick, how many customer service personnel do y'all have that are making contact with customers?
We've got, how many in the call center?
Total reps, because remember, it's cross-trained, so we have approximately 35 reps that are making contact with customers, whether it be in face or in person or over the phone.
Now, we noticed a huge spike in the last 2 weeks. We were averaging almost no wait time previously. In the last couple of weeks, it has spiked, and there is a wait time, anywhere from 20 to.
Depends on the time of day, but comparatively, we knew that the call volume was going to significantly reduce during the moratorium. Now that it's been lifted, we've increased about almost 100% daily calls. We went from about 340 calls a day to about 644 calls a day just from March 1st and 2nd.
Okay.
Well, that was to be expected. We actually know on March 8th, that number is going to continue to kind of go up into the level line.
And
Would it help?
oh, sorry.
Sorry, howdy y'all. Would it help to get y'all on TV, having these discussions, or getting our PR team, to go do a couple interviews where we can really blast people with this information?
They have. I know that marketing is not only putting it out as a press release, it's on our website, and they've done interviews on the with the TV stations, English and Spanish.
Okay, great.
And just so, for the benefit of our knowledge, our disconnection policy, as it stands, is what? What amount do you have to cover in order to avoid a disconnection? Or what has to happen in order, or maybe phrase it the other way around, under what conditions would I be disconnected if I failed to do what?
If you bounced a check, if you broke a payment arrangement, because remember, a payment arrangement, we've already made an arrangement, and if you
Okay.
break it, then you're up for disconnect. As far as a dollar threshold, is it $100 or anything Anything under $100, we don't disconnect. So it has to be over $100.
Okay, so
And
if your
then-
balance is over $100 and you don't have a payment plan?
We'd let you slide. It's not, to go after somebody for $75.
Right, but if it's over 100,
Oh, it's over. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Then yes, if it's over $100, you need to have a payment. And that's all you need to do. Just make the phone call and say,
Okay.
hey. And most people just need a couple of more weeks. Hey, I got billed on the 10th and I don't get paid until the 15th. Can I have another week? Yes.
And Eddie, after this deadline, a disconnect happens and then a week later they reconnect and there's a fee associated with that reconnect?
Yes. If there's been a disconnect, when you reconnect, there's a
The
fee.
reconnect.
Yeah, there's one fee. So there's no fee when you disconnect. There is a fee when you're
when you
reconnected.
reconnect.
What is that fee for that reconnect?
$75? $75.
All right, so $100, no payment plan, or.
We would still recommend that you
$100.
call and do something because the next bill will probably take you over and
Yeah.
it'll happen.
No, but if you're
you don't
over,
forget.
if you're over, and what I mean is if you're over $100, as
You
a,
need to
as a
have-
customer, you need to reach out.
Yes.
Okay. And maybe something as simple as that. And I would assume that we've got the list of people that have over $100 and have not reached out. Yep. So is there something going out specifically for them?
Yes. Everybody's receiving, anybody who owes anything has already received a reminder notice.
Can you tell us, I mean, I don't know if you have the data now, but would that be hard to look up just to say, just to be able to see who's over 100? How many customers are over $100 and do not have a payment plan?
We can analyze that.
Yeah, just, I'm just curious.
We'll put it in categories for you.
Yeah, it was something simple,
Yeah.
just so that we have a better idea of what the risk is there next week.
Absolutely.
It's important to note that we still kept up the correspondence with the customer
Yeah.
even during the moratorium. The messaging was slightly different, but now obviously that we're back to almost normal operations. It's slightly tweaked to reflect that, but still the options and still the communication never stopped. And I think that's a good thing. And I think that's actually been helping kind of not necessarily ease the burden on the customer, but just keeping them informed of what's the next steps are.
Okay. All right. Joseph, anything else?
No, thank you for your work on this. I know this has been difficult for y'all. But anything we can do to help is appreciated.
Yeah, and once again, I'd reiterate what the committee has already expressed is that we need to do whatever we can to minimize, the negative impact to our community and our ratepayers. So, whatever information we can put out from now until, next week and, especially with that group that's over $100 and doesn't have a payment plan, all those efforts, make sure we do whatever we can and we document it as well.
Yes, sir.
Right. Anything to add, guys?
Anything?
That's it. Okay, thanks. All right, that's number 4. Number 5 is discussion of the BPUB's progress on natural gas hedging strategies and power supply. Lena.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Lena.
So today I will be presenting the gas hedging update as well as the power supply, at least on open session, and then in closed session, Glenn will be doing the power supply. So the latest status, to provide, I guess, the board a little bit of history, BPUB felt that we were ready to start gas hedging mid-February. However, we were reached by Shell that additional documentation was needed as well as board approval for these transactions. So so what's been requested is that we do a formal authorization, and it's required for the board to approve the general manager to enter into a master agreement and energy transaction authorization limits. There's 3 documents that will need to be signed by the chair or the secretary
Okay.
as well of the board. And another update that needed to be done as well is the energy risk management policy. We needed to do a small update on it so that we can do this type of transactions as well. We anticipate executing the pilot hedging during the month of March, and we're still in line to try to have something in place for the summer.
Okay. So will that be an item at Wednesday's board meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have it for the Wednesday board meeting. Any questions on this? This is just a quick update.
Learning more and more about this hedging.
Yeah.
You know,
Look forward to it.
Yeah.
It's a very successful plan.
What's the approximate size of the pilot program, Lena, just so that, you know.
it's
the
a
people that
small
listen-
size. I believe it's 1,500 MMBTUs.
Okay,
So it's a small size compared to what we have for, let's say, all of Silas Ray power plant. It's about 10 times that, somewhere around that range.
okay.
So it's a small size. It shouldn't be a big deal. I feel like they're asking for a lot of detail, but it's sort of like establishing that agreement requires, it's sort of like a mortgage, I guess. They ask for everything because eventually the plan is to do hedging in larger transactions,
Sure.
in a larger way.
And we only have to go through that once. So
Yeah.
what you're doing now will set you up for a summer program.
That is
in the
correct.
event that the pilot shows promise.
That's correct. That will be with Shell.
Yeah.
But the plan is to, remember, to have three of them in place with 3 different companies so that we can get the best pricing.
Sure.
Mhm.
Great. So if, assuming board approval on Wednesday, when would you be able to execute the hedges?
So right after that, I will submit the documents and the plan is to move on it as soon as they can, I guess, let us know, but probably within the next 2 weeks,
Within the next 2
I would
weeks?
think.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the pilot program will go on for how many weeks?
4.
4 weeks.
Mhm.
Okay, so we would have some, at least preliminary results to present at the next finance committee meeting.
That is
And then at the full board meeting for follow-up action.
Yes,
Okay?
that's the plan. So, or more concerning, or the months that we're trying to get gas hedging for, the most will be probably summer months,
Yep.
since our units are considered peak units, the Silas rate units. It will be good to have some type of gas hedging in place for part of the units at least. And once we come back with the results during April, preliminary results to the finance committee and then the board in May, then we can probably look into something like that for July and August. Those are more of our concerning months or important months, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, so that's that. And then the next item. Stop sharing. Oh, thank you. One very good, nice. And now I will be doing a quick update on the power supply. I stapled this thing and I keep on turning in the wrong direction. Okay, here it is. So this more detail of this presentation will be provided in executive session, but as of right now, we wanted to make sure to bring just a quick update on open session. BPV requires new resources by 2025 to meet peak load. And we've been working with the consultant and have been working with them since early 2022. And this is to try to develop a power supply strategy that's focused on reliability, risk, as well as future rates. So some of the key features, I guess, that we've been working on is we've been analyzing our current capacity position, and we've analyzed different options in terms of what type of generations can be brought on board so that we can meet whatever deficit we have as per our capacity position. We do have some preliminary resource plan that will be presented briefly in executive session. But the plan is to eventually do workshops with the board to get your feedback as well.
Great.
So as mentioned, the plan is to be able to conduct board workshops within the next 6 weeks. And we will be reviewing the analysis assumptions, discuss the finance and customer rate implications, as well as receive board feedback and discuss potential plan refinements based on your feedback. Also, the plan is to finalize the proposed resource plan and the proposed implementation plan as well. After that, we will present the results that we come together with BPV staff and the board for approval no later than May 2023. That's the plan. Any questions? Comments?
Joseph, any questions for Lena?
No, sir. Thank you.
Art?
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Thank
Thank you, Lena. All right, that is number 5, and does it for the items for discussion in open session. So at this time, 12:37 PM, the committee will recess into our closed meeting to discuss the items as listed on the agenda.
No, it's going to the board for action. Here. Please open it. Where? You put them in.
How do I put them in?
Okay, go ahead and choose them.
Put them where? Where?
Executive. Close the mic.
We good? All right. So we're back out of closed meeting, reconvening into open meeting. It's 1:16 PM. Number 6 is discussion and possible recommendation on closed meeting items. I believe there are none. And 7 is discussion and/or request for future agenda items. I think we've covered for the most part what we're hoping to see in from now until the next meeting. Anything else? All right. Okay. I think Joseph is gone. So with that being said, this meeting is adjourned, 1:17 PM. All right. Thank you very much to everybody who was here today, and as always, very helpful. Great job.